Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Welcome to another Bulletproof for BJJ live stream, BPTV. I'm always used to saying podcast, but here we are. And it's been a good week. It's been a great week in the world of Bulletproof. Lots of different things going on. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all your messages. Always appreciate it. Really want to apologize for last week. The struggle is real. I have no solid reason. I contacted my internet provider and they're just like, meh, we don't care about you, you low-key YouTube wannabe. So sorry about that, guys. Now, I will be trying to improve the quality of what we're doing here. And today I've included a bit of a backlight. So hopefully it's a little bit brighter. And ultimately, we're going to be stepping up production to a whole nother level. Now, this week, I actually had a question about the books on the shelf behind me. One hit me up on Instagram and said, man, what are those books? Can kind of see some of them. I will actually do a bit of a book review and book tour of some of my books there. That's not even all my books. You don't even want to know, like I got a bunch next to my bedside table, and there's a whole lot of other stuff that I have just in storage in my cupboard. I'm a little bit of a book hoarder. I take after my mom in that way. But so for you guys, one of the biggest things, which is kind of shame, is like there's a bit of shame around this idea that you don't train at other academies. Like, that's disloyal. You're a traitor if you do that. And for me, that's kind of bothered me a fair bit, because I feel that for the most part, the way that you actually get better is by exposing yourself to people that you never would have thought of. And that's the thing. It usually happens when someone new comes to your academy and they've trained jiu-jitsu somewhere else and they come through and actually they kick your ass. That's right. You're like, my God, what is this jiu-jitsu they're doing? And it's because that you've never seen that style, or you've never had to deal with a body that functions in that way. So it's actually super important for you in your developmental stages of jiu-jitsu, and probably every way along the path, to expose yourself to a different body with a different style. Because we all know what it's like, right? You are there and you basically get used to your training partners, and you kind of get to a stalemate. Unless one of you puts in some serious time, you both kind of end up knowing each other's game, and you're both quite even in different facets of the game. You know, I'm generalizing here, but I've experienced it with my training partners, and it was only when I went away to Brazil and put in some hard time there that ultimately I was actually able to level up and then come back and beat guys who had beaten me for a long time. And really, this was the feedback loop, was I need to get exposed to more jiu-jitsu and different jiu-jitsu. So we're going to break it down for you today, guys. So super important that you understand staying in your bubble isn't really about loyalty. It's about creating a comfort zone, because jiu-jitsu is so uncomfortable. It takes us so long to feel like we know anything. And then boom, you realize that actually you're a bit limited, and then your world gets shattered and you've got to kind of shed that shell and grow again, right? So it's super important that you go outside your bubble. Regardless of what your instructor says, we're going to dig into this. It's super important for you for your growth and your learning to train at other academies. So you've got to get outside your bubble, and we're going to talk about that on all kinds of levels. Now, number two, the subject that I want to get into is why gym loyalty and traitor culture is bullshit. So there's this thing, like, it's called, like, if you switch gyms, you're a creonche. Now, a lot of people don't really understand where that term comes from, and it does mean traitor. And actually, it was the name of a soap opera character who betrayed, was a classic. He was like this archetypal betrayer and performs a huge betrayal in this Brazilian, soap opera. A telenovela type thing. And so that was the name that was given to people who leave gyms and go to other gyms, right? And this is really kind of useless. It's actually fear-mongering around, like, you're a bad person, shame on you, because you want to continue learning jiu-jitsu. And that is nonsense. And we need to really break down that stigma and talk about how we get better at jiu-jitsu. It has nothing to do with loyalty. Number three is, where do you actually learn best? Because everybody's different. And I know the environment where I learn best, And that's not always the way the class that I go to is taught. And that's no shade on the instructor. That's just because I'm an individual and I learn differently. And you would probably find the same. You might find it better drilling with a drilling partner. Some people find it better, they love to just roll. Like, show me a technique, now I'm just going to try it and try it and try it and roll and roll and roll. And then for some people, that's too overwhelming. They need to break it down a bit more, write it down, watch the video, and they take a longer kind of gestation period to know it. And so we've got to work out, where is it that you learn best? Because one size fits all, it doesn't work. And so if you've got a teacher who has a particular teaching style that doesn't match your learning style, then that doesn't mean you're a bad student. It just means they're a limited teacher. So we need to really kind of analyze different ways that you can learn. And I'm going to share with you the best way that I learn. And if you want to post in the comments suggestions or the way you learn, we can talk about that. That'd be great. And fourth is we have Travel and Train BJJ. It is the best thing ever, my friends. Now, if you're watching this and you're in Australia, you're in Melbourne, you're locked down. Sydney, we're about to come off lockdown. There's light at the end of the tunnel, and that is tomorrow. Hallelujah. Helio be praised. Basically, guys, traveling and training BJJ is the best thing you can do for your BJJ life. It's just this really great excuse. I mean, people go on holidays and they go somewhere just to lie on a beach. Now, that's beautiful. Lying on a beach is a great thing, but why not go to Rio and lie on a beach and train jiu-jitsu with some complete savages? And then suddenly you have this new appreciation for passion and technicality. And it also is going to make you think about your life in general. Travel really opens up your mind to, like, the fact that just because we do something a certain way here doesn't mean that's how they do it there. And going to Brazil and training jiu-jitsu there is great. Even going to Europe, like, even the training culture in Europe around judo and wrestling and jiu-jitsu as a whole is different again, as well as the Brazilian influence in jiu-jitsu in America. And some people talk stuff about like American jiu-jitsu, but look, let's think about it. If you have a background of wrestling and you come to jiu-jitsu, that's an advantage. If you've trained judo and you're from any culture that's strong in judo, like Iran, Korea, Japan, like Russia, they have great judokas out of Russia. If you come to jiu-jitsu, you have an advantage. So what I'm saying is, if you're someone who's only ever done jiu-jitsu and you're only coming from a little hometown where you've only ever trained jiu-jitsu, expose yourself to these other grappling arts. It'll change your life. And putting travel in the mix is doubly strong. And I'm going to break down exactly how I went about that, and then maybe how you too can go about that. And then I have a bit of a revolutionary idea that I want to share with you guys right at the end. And hopefully, if you're interested, you can join me. All right, my friends, I'm going to have a sip on my tea. My magic formula of choice is a black tea with a lot of honey and about a quarter of a lemon. It is amazing. Cheers. All right, so don't be shy, guys. Please feel free to put something in the comments. Let me know you're hearing this. Let me know that the sound is coming through well. I know for a lot of our friends, they listen to this after I've done it because they're tuning in a little bit later. But I got to get it in now so I can do all my other things. My friends, staying in your bubble slows your development. So let's think about this. You train at your current gym and you feel like you're gradually getting better. And then, for whatever reason, you take a trip. You go on a holiday. It's business, whatever you might be up to. And then you're like, oh, I might fit in a casual jiu-jitsu session. Then you get on the old Google and you've got, oh, where's this some jiu-jitsu? Find a gym, find a time, casual fee, jump in. Oh my goodness, they do it so different there. They do really hard warm-ups. They do wrestling. Oh my God, I'm dead after the warm-up. And then they got super intense and I'm the fresh meat, so they're going really hard on me and like all this stuff. It can just overwhelm you. But the cool thing is you come away from it going, wow, that's an entirely different culture. You get exposed, you get culture shock because you're like, I didn't know a jiu-jitsu class could be like that. And invariably it can, and it can even be harder. But what this does is it gives you an appreciation for the limits of you just training at your gym. Now, there's a lot of stigma built up in jiu-jitsu about training at different gyms. especially it's a hardcore old school thing, which is kind of, it's almost like samurai, old school samurai. Like you live and die by the master. Shout out Harry. I love the little coffee symbol that you put there. Respect, Harry. Now, here's the thing, guys. We're not living in 17th century, 16th century Japan. It's not about, oh, the master dies, we all have to commit seppuku and kill ourselves. Like, it's not like that. So it's super important that we understand that jiu-jitsu is essentially, it is a martial art, but the businesses we engage with are businesses. And typically, even though gyms have done a lot to support their students while we've had lockdown and all of this, students have also done a fair bit to support those gyms, right? Try and keep them working. My man, Adrian, shout out. Good afternoon to you, sir. Good evening. And that's the thing, guys. We support each other. It's a relationship that is based on trust and reciprocation. It's not a relationship that's based on, I'm the dominant one, I'm in charge of you, I control you. This is just fear and nonsense. It's a business. You support a business by showing up, giving your energy, giving your time, and giving your money. You can also choose to leave that business. Now, Joey likes to use the analogy of a cafe. So you go to a cafe and you're like, yeah, I've always gone here. I've been going here like 10 years. And you think, oh, this cafe is really good. And then just randomly one time, your friend takes you to a different cafe. The coffee's way better. They give you a free little biscuit on top. And the barista's really nice to you. You're like, wow, this is what the service could be like. My God, I had no idea, because you just stayed in your bubble. Now, I want to relate this back more to a personal development thing, guys, because jiu-jitsu is very personal. And we all know that guy who we grew up with when we were a kid, or it could be a woman. I don't know, but I don't hang out in women's circles so much, who just stayed in the hometown, grew up in the hometown, went to high school there, got a job there, and they just stayed there. And that's the thing that is crazy, because you come back to your hometown and you go, oh, God damn, that's Steve. Steve's still here and he's still doing the same old thing. And he's looking old. He's like, man, Steve, you look like you're 50. You don't say this, you just be very judgmental in your mind. You're just like, dang, Steve looking old. It's like, oh, hey, Steve. Oh, hey, man, how you been? Oh, I've just been out in the world, man. Moved to Melbourne, traveled to Brazil. Oh, that'd be so nice. I wish I could have done that. No, I got this good job, man. It's so good. Yeah, just got 10 kids. It's great. No, look, no judgment on anyone having 10 kids. You've got 10 kids, good luck to you. You're a savage. But this is what I want to say, guys. We all know that person who's scared of developing. They get comfortable and they hold onto that bubble. And we need to burst the bubble. Let me read this comment real quick. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Yes, we're so stoked. Fingers crossed for Melbourne. God, I pray for Melbourne. I'm really a Melbourne boy at heart. And that's where I spent most of my adult life. And that's where my jiu-jitsu family are. Absolute MMA, St Kilda, shout out. Absolute City, Absolute Collingwood. And all my friends, DC Academy Jiu-Jitsu, every single one, Peter DeBean, everybody I know, Dominance. Shout out to just everyone who does jiu-jitsu in Melbourne. I miss you guys. I love you guys. I hope you guys get to open up soon. So in the meantime, when you're not opened up, stay training, stay fit and strong. Now, that brings me to my second point, guys. Like, why is gym loyalty so pervasive? And also, why is this Creonche trader culture still going on? This is a nonsense thing, guys. It's really just guilt tripping. Like, I don't know about you guys, if your parents ever did this to you. My mum is the queen of emotional blackmail. She would always couple what she wanted me to do with me loving her. Like, if I didn't do what she wanted me to do, then I didn't love her, which is pretty tough, because I'm really a mother's boy at heart. I love my mum above and beyond anyone else. I do pretty much anything for my mum. But after a while, I realized that she was just manipulating me. And she was just trying to get me to do the ironing or vacuum the floor, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that after a while you go, you know what? I'm not going to put up with this bullshit. Like, I appreciate, I do actually, you do care about the person. You do care about your instructor. You care about the gym. But if you have to move house and you're moving interstate, or you're moving 20 kilometers away, and you cannot fit the commute to that gym into your life, you should still continue to train jiu-jitsu. There is no reason for you to quit jiu-jitsu because you cannot train at the gym that you started at. Now, my friend Adam Charles said that in Brazil, that this loyalty, this gym loyalty was so hardcore. Oh, my guy, Ben Smith, shout out. Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. We're doing this at earlier time because it seems like people had wanted this. If you guys would like it to be at a later time, like a 5:30 or a 6 p.m., please put that in the comments because I will take that in. I'll factor that in with my evening routine. So here's this. So how is this, my friends? Adam said that if a guy had to move to another part of Brazil, he was expected to quit jiu-jitsu because he couldn't train with the original gym that he trained at. I just couldn't believe that. I was like, that is so crazy. What we have to say is that even me, if you come and train with me, even just randomly, all I can wish for you is safe passage on the path to black belt, because I feel like that is where I would want everybody to go. What I really, really want is everyone to have that experience of not mastery, but being really good at jiu-jitsu. And achieving a black belt is a lot of time and effort to become good. And I'm not even saying you're the best. It's not mastery. It's just you're good. So it's like, okay, I'm good now. What do we do with that? You can take it to the next step, but quitting at blue belt is not viable. That's bullshit. And the great thing is, the more you invest, the less you want to quit, right? It's kind of sunk cost bias, but in a good way. Guys, this whole Creonche thing is nonsense. Imagine that you had a gym membership. This is my metaphor, and then we're going to move on. I don't want to belabor it, but some of you may have experienced it. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Good comment from, yeah. First started training in the gym. Feel like, yeah, honeymoon stage is over. Yeah. And hey, how is this? I got a little secret insight for you. Good friend of mine trains at a very big gym in Sydney. During lockdown, like 3 months, has trained at this gym for almost 8 years. No one contacted them. No one. In almost 3 months, not even the head instructor, not even a text message like, hey, how you going? This is crazy, guys. This is so crazy to me. Like I can't even process how crazy it is, because this person has been so loyal and so dedicated, and the gym didn't even send out like, oh, hey, how's things? You still, and so they're actually considering leaving after 8 years because they feel so disconnected. Whereas at Jungle Brothers, we've been staying in touch, keeping up with people, putting classes on, Zoom classes. I harass people via message. I stalk people's Instagram. I see what they're looking on. No, that's not true. But I do send people messages on Instagram like, you should do this submission. This is perfect for your jiu-jitsu. But that's me. Like I'm a bit obsessive like that in terms of being a trainer, but also being a coach. And the thing is, imagine this. This is my metaphor for you guys. Imagine you train at a gym. You pay a gym membership at a weightlifting gym, a conventional gym, right? And the person who owns the gym is a really nice guy. Chat to him. And they got barbells. And you're like, man, I want to use some barbells. And they're like, yeah, but you're not allowed to do deadlifts. What? Like, yeah, I just, deadlifts really good, right? The guys at Bulletproof say you should do deadlifts. It's like, no. We don't train deadlifts here. They're like, what? But you have barbells, you have space. Like, no, it's not allowed. Well, we'll hurt your back. What? No, deadlifts make your back strong. I think the science proves it. No. If you try and deadlift here, we'll ban you. What? But I pay a membership. It's like, I can't do that. If you train at a gym where you're not getting the service that you would like, you need to go somewhere else. Now, this isn't just about like being like capitalist and mercenary and like, I get what I paid for. Look, we're all in it for different reasons. But for example, say you'd like to learn leg locks. This is the classic example. And they don't train leg locks at your gym. Find somebody who's really good at leg locks. Jeremy Paul Skinner, he's my guide. I mean, I'm okay at leg locks. I'm not going to say I'm real good, but I know a little bit. And then you go see him and do a private lesson and bring that back. Now, if you get in trouble for doing jiu-jitsu technique, which doesn't fit in the culture of your gym, you are at the wrong gym. You need to do the jiu-jitsu you want to do. Because here's the deal, guys. I'm going to keep it super real with you right now. Your jiu-jitsu life is short. I mean, your life is short, but your jiu-jitsu life is even shorter. you get in the game, you might only be in there for 10 years. If you're in it for longer, bless you. It's amazing if you can stay in the game longer. I'm going to be 14 years in the game coming the start of next year. And it's just one of these things, guys, that if you're not doing jiu-jitsu the way you want, you're not enjoying it, you don't have friends at your academy, you're not connecting, you're wasting your freaking time and your money. It's not even a money thing, because the time and the experiences, that's what makes jiu-jitsu. And you want to, look, if somebody's going to choke you, you want to trust them. Pardon me. If somebody's going to be squashing the hell out of you, you want it to be your mate, because then it's playful, it's fun. If it's somebody who's got ill intent and they're trying to hurt you, you need to get out of there. All right? Enough said. Yeah, it's prehistoric thinking. That's exactly right, Adrian. The whole Crionche thing, like, I know because I was in Brazil and I asked about, like, what's Crionche mean, you know? And honestly, at the end of the day, loyalty and trust is based on reciprocity. It's like we give it to each other. It's not one person has the power and then you're weak and you're dependent. Like, this is actually a terrible relationship. And if you were seeing a therapist, they would tell you, get out of that relationship, right? So moving forward, where do you actually learn best for BJJ? Like, where do you learn best? Now, I'm going to share with you how I learn best and how I've cultivated my learning in jiu-jitsu. And then I would love if you guys would even put in the comments maybe a suggestion of how you structure your learning. So I'm going to give it to you really simply. When I first started training at Peter DeBean back in the day, 2008, Pete would teach a lesson. He would like show a technique. Okay, here we go. Do some drills. Go. Now, wall drill. Kind of like specific drill. Just wall drill. Fight from there. You know, just go till you tap. Okay, free rolling, whatever. It wasn't even that structured. And I didn't understand what Pete was talking about. Like, I didn't understand really Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at all. Because I came from Taekwondo, I understood striking a lot more and footwork and positioning relevant to kicking and punching. So when you put someone down on the ground and do half guard or something, I had no idea what he was talking about. So when he explained the techniques, he was like, all right, does everyone get that? I was like, no. But because I was a new white belt, no one gave a shit. It was like, all right, whatever, new guy, like, just suck it up, right? So in that first year of jiu-jitsu, I got very tough, but I didn't get very good. I didn't learn that much. I learned like one sweep and one submission, and that was my whole game. It meant I got very good at that sweep and very good at that submission, but my jiu-jitsu didn't really grow for almost 18 months to 2 years. I was so one-dimensional. And I think of that as time lost. Like, if I had a coach who would break it down and explain it to me, I would have learned better. So this is how I learned, guys. I made some friends in jiu-jitsu, you know, which is great. So shout out to my good friend, Matt Carmichael. Also shout out to my friend, Art Curry, and also Sunny Munn, because these were my tight jiu-jitsu buddies. And also small shout out to Chris Burns. If you guys know Chris Burns, he's a legend. He was kind of in our clique too, or we were in his clique. I don't know. He's kind of got his own cult. And we get together on the weekend and outside of jiu-jitsu, like on a Sunday, and we just break down different positions and explain it to each other and kind of try and work it out and drill and practice, and then we'd all roll. And I found I got way more out of those kind of joint brainstorming sessions than I did in class. But when I came back to class, I actually understood what the hell was going on, and I actually started to get a lot better at jiu-jitsu. And I paid for private lessons. Like, I did private lessons with Pete, and that helped. But teaching styles and learning styles need to match, right? In the same way fighting styles make a fight, learning styles and teaching styles make, you know, an educational environment. And that's essentially what an academy is. So it's like, how do you guys learn? Because I know some people who learn a lot from videos. They can watch a Lock on Giles instructional on you know, BJJ Fanatics, which I own a bunch of them. I'm actually, you know, I'm one of Lockie's students. I learned the game from him, but I still own some of his instructionals because they're great. But it does get boring after a while. I'll keep it real. Like, you know, I love Lockie's stuff, but it gets a bit monotonal and it goes for 15 freaking hours, which is good and bad depending on what you're into. You know, he can spice it up with a bit of humor, you know, if he wanted to. But they're great. They're the best instructionals available, you know. But then some people hate that. They're not engaged with that. They don't want to watch a video. Some people are like, you show me how it's done. I give it a bit of a practice. Now I'm going to try and murk everybody on the mat with that technique. My goodness, crazy. So that's how it works for them. A lot of people like hands-on learners, kinesthetic learners. I'm really good like that. Like that's how I learned martial arts. You do it, monkey see, monkey do. I do it. Give me some feedback. I just keep doing the thing. The more I do the thing, I get that feel for it. I get that physical feel, the kinesthetic vibe, and then I can do it. I have learned to learn by watching. I've also learned to learn by watching videos and writing down mind maps. So actually writing down like, all right, I've got this circle here. Now I'll do a whiteboard session with you guys in the future, how you too can do a mind map to understand BJJ technique. And this is something which not a lot of people do. Now, for some of you out there, you may have originally got Eddie Bravo's 10th Planet System, the book. And at the front of the book, it's actually super cool. I actually think it's some of Eddie's best work, even though, you got to give him credit for EBI and combat jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. I think Eddie was actually quite a smart guy back in the day. But I feel like he's probably smoked too much weed. He's kind of smoked himself stupid now. But he had a map where it says like, you get like Homer Simpson leads to this and like Chill Dog leads to that. And they branched off and it showed you how each position led to a transition to a submission. And it was all mapped out. And I was like, wow, this is ingenious. And it gave me, I guess, a conceptual framework to work with to try to process jiu-jitsu. And that's what I do. Now, and this is in no way a plug. This is just something I want to share with you guys. I made this card game. It's called Jugo. This is conceptually jiu-jitsu on cards. Why did I do this? One, because I'm a jiu-jitsu nerd, but two, because in the game of Judo, each control or position, you have an initiation, you can pull guard or you can do a takedown. A takedown leads into a pass leads into a control leads into a sub. In the same way, a guard leads to a sweep leads to a control. That control leads to a sub. Now, obviously, there can be many variations within that chain of events, but essentially, if you can think of jiu-jitsu in a broken down way, it's more accessible. Because when it's just a fury of limbs and just getting squashed, it's hard to learn, right? So it's super important that you have a process to break down individual techniques into their component parts and then components as part of a total sequence that lead you from beginning to end, the end being submission. Anyway, if you have any suggestions or ideas or comments around this, please put it in the comments. I'm going to take 2 seconds to read these comments. Yeah, victory is tough. Jocko and Dean Lister, 100%. Yeah, man. Victory MMA, amazing. Like, what's his name? He's such a legend. He used to teach there. He smokes a lot of weed. He's awesome. I did one seminar by him. I apologize, it's escaped me now. He was an instructor there at Victory MMA. It'll come to me in a flash, probably when this is over, and I can't remember. He's a lightweight guy. He's got some of the best jiu-jitsu of all time, and he was a coach there at Victory MMA. So definitely worth going and checking those guys out. Yeah, good point. So Adrian's raised a really good point here, which is, for example, when I started Peter the Beans, Pete has long legs. They played a lot of close guard, right? Now he's of the Gracie lineage, under Carlos Gracie Jr. and obviously Hodger Gracie, one of the greatest close guards of all time. And that's the thing, like close guard is a long leg dude game. I have short legs. Like I struggle to even like just cross my legs, right? Like just being able to get your legs around somebody if you have short legs. Close guard is not the optimum option. Butterfly guard, like putting my hooks in, X guard, these kinds of games suit me way better. In the same way, De La Riva as a guy has long shin bones. He's not a big guy, but he has really long shins compared to his total body, right? I met him one time. And I'm always taking this into consideration because that biases you to put that hook in. If you've got long shins, you can put your foot all the way through to the far hip. Now, if you don't know De La Riva, the game, like the position, the De La Riva guard, that's okay. But let me tell you, it biases a long leg man game. So you got to find that game that does work for you. If your coach has a bias because of their physicality and they can't see outside of it, they're like, oh, this works for me because I'm shorter, or this works for me because I'm taller, then that's a problem. And you need to be able to identify that. And if you don't know, you need to ask somebody who does know. And you can ask me if you want, because I will let you know in no uncertain terms, maybe you shouldn't be doing a certain game. All right, what else we got here? Yeah, recording the techniques that you did is a great way to learn. Like actually filming it. I did talk about this 2 lives ago, saying that like setting up your camera to record the technique you're doing is the key to improving it. Even if you feel self-conscious about it, you need to lose that because you need that objective feedback. Yeah, yeah. Experimenting, it does take a bit of time. And look, you have to take a scientific approach to jiu-jitsu. Understand this though. Do work with something. This is why jiu-jitsu takes so long to master, because so many variables. But if you know the mechanics of the sweep, you need to try that on little people, tall people, thick people, strong people. You need to try it on all belt levels. The classic thing is when someone goes, oh man, I nailed this on all the white belts. You're like, yeah, that basically tells you that your jiu-jitsu works against people who don't know jiu-jitsu. So that's kind of pointless, isn't it? If there's a white belt who's hitting a sweep on purple belts, like, oh, okay, well, that guy's got some game, right? Because a purple belt's had a lot of experience, they've seen a fair bit. If a white belt can hit that technique on them, it tells you that the white belt's understanding is thorough. And you don't need to train 10 years to get a thorough understanding of something. If you get it, you get it. Some people learn quicker than others. It doesn't mean they will be more successful long term. That's something you have to understand. And I'm going to now move on to travel and train BJJ. And this, like I said, I met De La Riva one time, right? And so I can actually speak to the guy's anatomy in the same way I met Marcelo Garcia. The guy's a thick dude. Everyone always thinks of Marcelo being like not big. He's thick. He's like, he probably walks around at like 90 kilos, like, or maybe heavier, depending. Like when I saw him, he was very much out of season. It's back 2014. Jesus, the guy's got the biggest quads you've seen on a jiu-jitsu athlete, other than me. Actually, funny story. I was going to pose Marcelo down. I was like going to go up and be like, yo, let's compare legs. Because everyone always talks about how big Marcelo's legs are. And I was like, whatever. I don't think his legs are that big. But I saw him at Worlds. And what you have to understand, guys, is that people within jiu-jitsu, like even champions, revere Marcelo Garcia. His impact on jiu-jitsu is hard to explain. So when he's in a crowd of people, like people circle around him like he's a jiu-jitsu god, right? And I was like, I'm going to walk up. But I realized I'm walking up and I can see the faces of multiple time world champions just staring at Marcelo and just being like, and like not talking and just giving him total reverence. And I walked up and I was like, oh, this would be so disrespectful if I was like, oh, hey, Marcelo, you don't know me. I'm some Australian guy. Hey, man, you mind if we just like get a photo comparing our legs to see who's got bigger legs? Because obviously that equals the better man. Anyway, so secretly I walked up behind him. I compared my calf size to him and I realized, I got bigger calf muscles than Marcelo Garcia. Boom, nailed you. Ha, I win. No, I'm telling you, Marcelo's wearing shorts. His quads are massive, but he has short legs. In the same way, I have short legs. Guys like Rafa Mendes, Cobrinha, Rubens Charles, long legs. Like not a tall guy, long legs on the human. Keenan, exceptionally long. You don't know these guys' games until you go and meet the person. The only way you're going to do this is by traveling. Now, I understand for most Australians, if you're watching this, we've totally forgotten about travel. It's totally out of our minds, but the world is opening up 100%. And essentially for you, when you get the opportunity, get out there because you are going to witness jiu-jitsu in a totally different way. Now, we all know, like as Australians, we are stuck out here on this island. Not stuck, but we're on this island. We're out in the middle of nowhere. And that means in order to see the world, we have to travel a long way, unless we're going to New Zealand. New Zealand's beautiful, but we have more jiu-jitsu here in Australia, no doubt. If you want to expand your jiu-jitsu, you need to go to Brazil. You need to go to the USA. You need to go to Europe. You need to get out of your hometown. Now, if you think, no, I'm pretty good, my instructor's good, my instructor's traveled, he knows what's up, I don't need to do that. Now, obviously the pilgrimage is to go to the world championship. And even if you have no interest in being the world champion, that's fine. But going there, it's like a festival. It's a festival of jiu-jitsu. It's so good. The energy is so high. And when you go to the pyramid in California State University, it is the best. You walk up those stairs, it's like, whoa, this is big time. You stay for the finals, you see or bring it back with you, and you put it into your jiu-jitsu. And that can really accelerate your learning because you believe in a higher power of jiu-jitsu, basically. And this is what I want for you guys. I want your jiu-jitsu to get better. I don't want you to be hometown Steve. I don't want you to be the guy who just stayed in his little hometown his whole life and just felt like, no, I'm good here. Because you are literally cutting yourself off at the legs. Because you might get to purple belt, your game stagnates, and then that's you forever. For the sake of yourself, your teammates, everyone that you have in contact, that you get in contact with in jiu-jitsu, you traveling and training and meeting these people makes you realize what's possible. Because when you meet a guy like Bruno Malfacini, I think he's 12-time world champion, maybe 11 or 12 times, like greatest of all time. Bruno's tiny. Bruno's like 4'5". He's the smallest dude in jiu-jitsu, but he's so strong. He's so fast. The guy can move like light speed, and I've rolled him, and I know he feels like an 85-kilo guy. He's so strong. And if you never rolled him, you wouldn't know this, right? So you would never believe that like a borderline midget human could move like that. He can. Malfa is a beast. I love him. I respect him. Such a lovely guy, but he will mess you up. And if you don't travel and train, it's very likely you'll miss a huge opportunity in your jiu-jitsu life, which I want to stress is short. So you need to make the most of this short opportunity that you're in this beautiful thing, right? What we got? Serbia. Nice. Adrian traveling in Serbia. Yeah, boy. Yeah, that's the thing, right? When you go to Eastern Europe, they've either got like 10 or 20 years wrestling or a judo black belt or sambo or Koreshi wrestling or some kind of crazy business, right? And they go beast mode and they might be ex-military, they might have killed people. But this is great. This is so good because the ultimate goal is to improve, and improvement comes from mistakes, from failing. We have to take a scientific approach to will ourselves to get beaten and fight back. Now, this is something I wanted to share with you because I have always wanted to make friends. I was like a lonely kid and I didn't have a lot of friends in school. I was a very uncool kid and I saw popular kids and I always wish I could be like them. And I didn't really understand social mechanics. I was kind of socially awkward. And I thought, wow, if I could just make people like me, wouldn't that be good? Well, actually, that's not really how you get people to like you. Like if people like you, they like you. You don't really have much say in it, but you need to be yourself. And this is the same is true in jiu-jitsu. You need to cultivate a strong sense of your game and how you're developing. Because if you're just trying to be cool with people and shake hands, you don't get any respect. And also you don't push their jiu-jitsu. Like just rolling someone light in the hopes they like you is also not your best bet. When I went to Sao Paulo, I got mangled. And I'd already been to Brazil. This is like my second trip to Brazil. I'd already done a month in Rio. And I was like, I'm going to go to Sao Paulo. I was 2 weeks there after spending time in Rio. And they just brutalized me. I couldn't get my head around about how mean they were with submissions and how quick and sharp. I'm like, I was like, my world was shattering because I was a blue belt this time. I was actually like really good level blue belt coming out of Australia. I'd won nationals, won Pan Packs, and I actually had done quite well in Rio. And I was like, I think I'm good. And they messed me up in Sao Paulo. It's like, this place is hardcore. And I kept trying to be friends with people and it didn't make a difference. Like they didn't seem to care because really what gets you respect on the mat is your jiu-jitsu skills. And so I basically just hit a point. I was like, you know what, man, fuck these guys. Like, I'm here to learn jiu-jitsu. And even when I'm super nice, they are borderline disrespectful with how much they bash me. So I just went super hard. I went 1,000% on the mat. And I actually started kind of winning back. I wasn't winning rolls, but it was more even and I was doing better. And then after that, they were like, this guy goes pretty hard. Like they gave me respect. They weren't my friends, but they respected me. And then the cool thing was when I did actually, towards the end of that 2-week period when I first went to Sao Paulo, 2011, I started actually winning some roles and I tapped a few guys and they were like, check this kid out. They were like, all right. And so then they actually took some time to show me some stuff because they could see I had heart and I was invested and I cared. I wasn't just some random tourist. So then when I went back in 2012 and I was staying for 6 months, they're like, this guy's in for the long haul. Okay, we'll show you some stuff. You're a prospect. We got you. So it's very much about relationship building, guys. So understand this. If your relationship with your club isn't where you want it to be, you either need to have an open dialogue with your coach or the gym owner or your teammates and understand, hey, why is this not where it needs to be? And this isn't like being a bratty child and asking your parents to give you everything you want. You know, for the best part, we're all adults. So we need to be able to have discussions about these things. And if you're not getting what you want and it's not working the way you want, maybe try somewhere else. I'm not saying you got to just quit that gym, but just take a night off, your normal gym, go train somewhere else. Try it. I mean, it might be crap. You might be like, that was terrible. I'm not going there. Okay. Then you go somewhere else. You're like, wow, everyone's really nice to me. Wow, the mats are clean. I love that. Or you go somewhere else, it's a gritty gym, the mats are not clean, but the jiu-jitsu is great. So you're like, I like that. It doesn't, hygiene's not a thing for me. I don't know, staff be with you. But that's the thing, guys. It's important for you to find what works for you, not only in your learning, but in the relationship. So when you travel and you train, it's important that when you go to a place, you keep it in your mind that you might go back there again. And that is when you earn the trust and you build a relationship and they invest in you. You invest in them, they invest in you. This idea of reciprocity is so important. And if you are just giving your all and you're not really getting it back, that is not a good relationship. Keep that in your mind, guys, because we're in this thing only for a short time. We're in it for a good time, but it's a short time. So we need to make the most of the time that we're in this beautiful thing. All right, my guys. Yeah, I'll make sure the gym is a problem, not you. Look, if you're a douchebag, it doesn't matter where you go. You're going to have a problem with everybody. But that might make you a really good, competitor, and you can't hold the gym down. I mean, I know some guys who are complete douchebags, and they end up having to start their own gyms. It is what it is. Being a good human doesn't mean you're not going to be good at jiu-jitsu. There's plenty of people I know who are really good humans. They're not that good at jiu-jitsu. And then there's plenty of people I know, complete douchebags, aka Craig Jones, who are great at jiu-jitsu. But it's like total jerk. And he's applauded for it. Gordon Ryan, total jerk. Inside word. Want to know why the B team fell apart? Because Gordon Ryan was too much of a jerk. He was too selfish, and he alienated the whole team. And John Danaher didn't do anything about it. I have that on very good inside word from the B team. So they all left. They're like, you know what? Forget you, Renzo Gracie. We're starting our own thing. Because that's the thing, guys. Jiu-jitsu, even though it's an individual thing, it's a team thing. You can't do jiu-jitsu without your training partner. You can't learn jiu-jitsu without your coach. It is a greater thing. Without another person, there is no opponent. Obviously, we're trying to master ourselves, but we need an opponent. We need a training partner, and we must at least respect them. And respect is the baseline minimum. If you don't show respect, then, you're not really going to go far in life. My friends, thank you for tuning in. It's a bit of a long one. I'll get off my soapbox, but I hope that this discussion has helped in some way. I hope it maybe has opened up some ideas around you learning and doing a few different things. But guys, like I said, we're about to get jiu-jitsu back in Sydney. I pray for Melbourne. Hopefully Melbourne can come back soon. If you're anywhere else in the world and you're watching this and you're at your gym and you're really not learning, just do a bit of a circuit breaker and go somewhere else. That doesn't mean that you quit your gym. It just means you mix it up. And sometimes mixing it up is the thing that can really just kick your learning back into gear. And that's what we're all about, getting better and loving jiu-jitsu. All right, my friends, really appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for persevering. obviously we're improving the quality as we go. My internet service is working today, thankfully. And if you guys have any suggestions for any of our YouTube live streams in the future, please feel free to contact me directly, pop it in the comments, or hit us up on Instagram. We will be doing our Instagram live at 10 o'clock this Wednesday, so tune in for that. Between now and when I see you next, guys, stay bulletproof.